This is the Jocko Underground Podcast, number 111, Triple Ones. Sitting here with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willing. This is an admission of sorts, but there's a lesson to be learned, I believe. Maybe I am superstitious or paranoid because I go to a pretty extreme level of not counting chickens before they hatch.
Okay.
All right. So what that means is, in my mind, I will not say, I almost said never, but I will very rarely say something like, oh, we're definitely going to win. Or we are 100% going to close this deal. Or like, this deal is done.
In the bag.
It's in the bag. I don't say that. I don't say that. And it's because I think they're a jinx. I think they're a jinx. Do you know the etymology of the word jinx? I don't know it either. But superstitious, right? Like, it's a jinx. We know what the jinx means. I don't know. I'm going to look up where it comes from. But
Sure.
Here's the thing. I just don't think it's a jinx like, ooh, what's that word? Some mysterious jinx like supernatural power. That's not what I think of. What I think of, it's a real jinx on the way that people think and the way that people act when they say, we're definitely going to win. When someone says that, there's 1,000 little tiny changes that take place, and they're almost imperceptible. They're so small. Little tiny changes in your attitude. Like the way you present yourself when you already think, oh, I'm 100% going to win. The way you present yourself, a little bit different. A little bit different tone. Little bit less effort, right? Because we already think we're going to win. Maybe your thoughts are different now. And that means your intent is different. And as we know, your intent has a smell. So we got to watch out for that. We, in the books, we talk about time we're training with, actually, I think it's in the books, but we teach it at Echelon Front for sure. We're tasking a bruiser. We're going through close quarters combat training, and the master chief that's running the training, great dude. And, I know him, and our task unit's kicking ass. And we're doing a debrief after one of our runs through the house. And he's like, dude, guys, you know what? This is the best task unit I've seen come through here. And it's like on cue. The next run through the house sucked. It sucked. Why did it suck? Well, because, the 36 guys all had a little tiny change. A little tiny change in their attitude, a little tiny change in their focus, a little tiny change in cutting corners, a little tiny change in their attention level. Just a little bit, because we're already there. We're the best. And as soon as you take 36 people, by the way, you're doing close quarters combat, you're working together as a team. And when everyone on the team is doing everything they can to win, that all compounds itself. When everyone's not doing everything that they can to win, all that adds up to that compounds as well. So, I pulled the master chief aside. I was like, hey, dude, do not please ever say anything like that to the troop again. Like we can't handle this. Yeah. No one can handle this. So I'm not going to say this. Those words are not going to come out of my mouth. Now, this is not a lack of confidence. And we did that podcast a while back where I was talking about the moment of just prior to the moment of execution. I'm going to be a little bit cocky. My confidence level is going to go high. Yeah. Or if I'm getting ready, I just was out hunting. I was hunting whitetail out in Iowa.
Hell yeah.
And you're waiting in a tree stand or a blind for 14 hours a day. Waiting. All of a sudden, boom. And actually, what it is, if it was all of a sudden, if it was in 3 seconds, you wouldn't have time to think about it. But you got time to think about it. Like you're watching a buck come in. You have time. It takes, in this particular case for me, the whole thing was probably over in a minute. Like from the time I saw this buck come into our field of view, the shot was taken in probably 45 seconds to a minute. Like that's how long I had to think about it. But that's actually a long time. Like you see it coming, he's 280 yards away and he's walking down and looking around and walking down. So the chances that you're taking a shot are pretty high because he's walking in your direction. Yeah. So you can definitely get into like a panic mode of like, and you actually can, there's a name for that. There's an actual name for it. Buck fever. You heard this name before, right?
From you.
Okay, yeah. Buck, it's a real thing that has a name. Yeah. It has a name because people freak out. Who was I talking to? I was just talking to somebody, one of my archery buddies, and he was saying like he was getting ready to take a shot and he was looking at the broadhead of his arrow and was just like shaking all over the place, just freaking out, dude, because that's what's happening. Yeah. Now, when I saw that buck, right as he started to like walk in, I got into the mode of like total confidence. You know, just like, all right, I'm about to slay this thing. Like, this is what's happening. And not arrogance, but just, yep, I've got this. This is what I practice for. I didn't say all these things in my head, but I know this is what I practice for. I take these shots all the time. This is what I do. Going to go through the protocol, and this thing is done. Mm-hmm. Same thing I didn't get an elk this year, but I think it was last year. Same thing. Like, I ranged this elk. He's at 50.0 yards. I'm like, this thing is done. Like, there's no escape. This thing's going down. And so you have that at that moment. It's not arrogance, because if you get arrogant, you won't go through your proper protocol. Yeah. So we talked about that on this podcast, where in that moment, just before the moment of execution, I'm going to get into a hell yeah scenario. Yeah. You know, hell yeah, this is going down. Yeah, yeah. Hell yeah, I can do this. Going to go on, you're going to do a presentation, like to a group. I'm not walking on the stage thinking, I hope I do a good job. No, I'm walking on the stage like I'm about to educate these people and teach them leadership, a lesson that they're going to learn, and it's going to help everything that they're doing. Boom, that's how I'm rolling out. Mm-hmm. But hey, an hour prior, I'm looking at my notes, I'm going over my stuff, I'm making sure, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm not getting cocky an hour before, and definitely not a day before, but in the moment of execution, I'm going to get a little bit cocky. But prior to that last, putting your night vision goggles down, like when I put my night vision goggles down, it's on. I can't be stopped. Like, I'm going to win. When I knock an arrow on my bow, it's going down. I am extremely confident at that point. When I'm getting ready, getting mic'd up to go to talk to people, yep, I'm ready. On a good day, on the mats of justice.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because let's face it, some days you're like,
yes.
But on a good day, you're going in there like, that's probably the difference between a good day and a bad day. You're like going in there like, oh, I'm going to give these people problems. Yeah. I'm a problem. I'm a problem. I take that from Dean Lister, who uses that terminology. Dean will be like, if someone gets in this position here, it's a problem. Yeah. And when Dean Lister says something's a problem, it's a real problem. Yep. So I don't want to overlook that fact. I'm not saying that this attitude is a lack of confidence. I know I can win. I know I can win. I know we can close this deal. I know we can make this happen, but it's not guaranteed. It's like here's an example. Not, we're definitely going to close this deal. It's, hey, we have a great opportunity, but we definitely have to execute properly. That's a world of difference. Yeah. Hey, we need to stay on point to make sure we get this done right. Yeah. These are all things. That's a small, little, tiny adjustment, and it has a huge impact. Do not tell yourself that victory is assured. It never is. Till maybe you're about in the moment of execution. Then you can be a little bit more confident. But up until that moment of execution, until 7 seconds before the moment of, or 30 seconds or 1 minute, right before execution, you should say to yourself, I'm going to go crush this thing. Until then, stay humble. Stay on the path. There you go. That's what I got.
I agree. Yeah, I heard you say that before. It's very useful, very good advice, if you will. So it's kind of like you, because I did that to myself, jammed myself up. I think it added to my superstitions in high school. We're playing this Japan football team, by the way. And we're like, they're from Japan. They don't really know football like we know, God. And I remember saying out loud right before the first kickoff, I was like, it's over. And I remember saying that out loud, like to, you know, my friends were kind of around and I remember, cause I don't use that expression, oh, it's over, but I like said it or whatever. And I'm searching my feelings and I'm thinking like, I was kind of nervous at the time because there was so much unknown. They don't even speak English, you know, but for some reason my brain arrived at like, these guys can't like beat us. They're like from Japan.
Yeah. We literally invented football.
Yeah, exactly right. In fact, it's like a whole day. Football in other places is soccer. Like they don't know about football like we know. And they just obliterated us, like kind of bad too. Yeah, because they were doing all kinds of weird stuff. Like they were passing on first down, like they were just and they beat us 30 to either 0 or like 30 to 6. It was bad. And I remember thinking, I know part of it was superstition, like because I said it was over. But you're right about that though.
Little thing, man.
It was kind of like, hey, I wasn't concerned with the preparation, and I wasn't concerned with the execution. I was like almost concerned with, when it's in the bag, the celebration almost kind of that part, you know?
And you think you take your whole team and they all take that effort and just, it loses a little bit of focus. Just a little bit of focus.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of focus.
Yeah.
Think about the things that you've done in your life that you got it done. It took everything you had.
Yeah.
Whether it was like a tackle, whether it was winning a jiu-jitsu tournament, whatever it was, it took you everything. And if you didn't do that, you wouldn't have won. Yeah. And now you had to multiply that times the team, the whole team.
Yeah.
Then next thing you know, it's 36-0 or 30-6.
Yep.
So don't let this happen. Do not.
That's real.
Do not say it out loud. Is it superstitious? Yes, it is. Is it also factual? Yes, it is.
Yeah. Because it's like these little micro concepts creeping, like, you know, and they're all mixed together, right? Where you got an element of complacency that comes in.
100%.
There's like an element of focus that you lose on the critical like moments, moment to moment, you know, like you were breaking it down into like, okay, there's preparation, then there's a moment before execution where you got to kind of in a way time that perfectly for it to really land. And yeah, so you're like taking away the focus off of the important part and putting it on the unimportant part, which is like the outcome that is determined on this execution part of it. So, you know, the outcome essentially takes care of itself when you focus on the execution part of it. And meanwhile, you're taking your focus off of it. It jams you up.
And it's most prevalent when it's a whole team.
Yeah.
Because if it was like you and you're in a jiu-jitsu tournament and you like slack off for half a second and you get taken down, you're like, okay, I gotta square my shit away and you can step it up. No, it's not guaranteed. I don't recommend doing this even with individual efforts as well. But you multiply that times a team, and it's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. Yes, sir, it is.
Check.
All right, some Q&A.
Yep, let's get to it.
Okay, Jocko, I'm a...
That is a little excerpt of what we are doing on the Jocko Underground podcast. So if you want to continue to listen, go to jockounderground.com and subscribe. And we're doing this to mitigate our reliance on external platforms so we are not subject to their control. And we're doing it so we can give you more control, more interaction, more direct connections, better communications with us, strengthen this legion of troopers that are in the game with us. So thank you. It's jockounderground.com. It costs $8.18 a month. And if you can't afford to support us, we can still support you. Just email assistance@jockounderground.com and we'll get you taken care of. Until then, we will see you mobilized underground.